Hello, welcome to Ceramics with Miss Tomimitsu. Today we have all of our 7 parts built and we are going to join them, and I'm going to show you how to join them. So we have our pot, okay, which is our main vessel, and this was made several days ago. It's getting a little powdery and a little bit dry, which is okay because I'll make sure to hydrate it when I do the slipping and scoring. We have our main part of our lid. We have our flange that goes onto our lid that fits the pot really well. And we have a knob, and I wrapped the knob and the foots we have here in the spout because they were getting a little dry. So they're gonna be added on. And additionally, our handle will be added on. So I'm gonna push this to the side for a moment. And the tools that we'll need today will be, are here, our sponge and water, wooden modeling tool, knife needle tool, and rib, okay? And as we go, if we discover we need any more tools, that's fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with my foot on my pot, and that's what I would recommend. Students do as well. If the foot is already firm, it has to be firm, because if you put the foot on the pot and you put the weight on there, the pot is gonna squish the foot. So you don't wanna lose, that height. And this was a foot that I made from slab. And I used a cookie cutter to cut the center out so that you have that negative space for thermal purposes. And I rolled it out 2 rulers stick on each side, 4 rulers total, so that's a ½ inch thick. So you'll have that nice height so you'll be able to glaze all the way down on your pot. So, I just discovered a tool that I forgot, a scoring tool, one of our most important tools. Does anyone nearby have one? Thank you. I have a comb I can use, and if you guys could get me a teriyaki chicken stick, that would be great. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and start here with the comb. Oh, good. And I'm gonna just kind of dip it in the water a little bit because it's very firm. And I'm gonna create that slip on there. And I like using the teriyaki chicken sticks sometimes to get in there and get deeper. And for the finer marks, I had to get in there with the comb. So I'll score that up. Now, let me ask you folks, I'm demoing while students are working. If I score this, do I still need to score this?
Yes.
Yes, very good. Okay, so I'll go in, with the correct side, and I'm gonna score this pot as well. Now, I would not recommend that you just lay the pot on the table, because if it's getting very leather hard, could you snap the pot very easily? Yeah, so you should probably do this in your lap, okay? Just lay the towel in your lap and do it. I would 100% recommend, unless it's still a little squishy, your pot, which if it is, you really shouldn't be doing this yet. You'd probably wanna just blow dry it to get it a little firm, because again, you want the pot to be leather hard. So I'm gonna add that foot. This is nice and scored up. And you want it to look like furry almost, okay? And don't worry about all those pesky scoring marks later on. You can take those out with a brush after that. And that's another tool we'll need, okay? So I scored this up, I'm just gonna place it here. And the brushes that I like are the white tipped ones because they're firmer, okay? When I go ahead and add that on. So I have it. I'm gonna put lots of ding, 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 ding. What's that word, folks? Say it again, loud.
Pressure.
Pressure, yeah, lots of pressure. Thank you. And then I can go in with a brush and clean that up. All that extra slip that snuck out, I'll clean up immediately, because it's just easier if you clean that up quickly, okay? And for now, I like that. I will definitely go in there a little bit more and clean it up, and I can take my sponge and get that excess moisture off. I'll clean that up a little more later, okay? But for now, I'm satisfied with this. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this to the side, all these tools to the side. And I think I'm gonna start now with my spout, okay? And so I have this spout here, and It is proportionate to my pot. I sized it up. And I have to decide where I want to put it. I want to put it where this rainbow is. So I'm going to put it right there. Or could I do it where my flower is? I think I'll do the rainbow. Okay? Yeah. So I'm going to make sure that it is flush with the top of my pot. Okay, and I like this position. It's tapered so it doesn't stick out too far. And I'm gonna go ahead and see if I like it this way. And I'm gonna take my needle tool and go around and just kind of etch out where I plan to place it. Am I gonna cut where this needle tool is? These needle tool lines? Folks? No, right? Because we need surface space, right? To add to score and slip. I'm only going to cut a smaller hole out from the inside. Okay, and I'll just mark there where I'm going to cut. Okay, and this part, I'm going to score and slip really well. So it's a little dry. I'm just going to hydrate it with a brush, a little bit of water. And I'm going to lubricate my knife because it'll cut better when the knife is wet. And this is another thing that I would recommend, that you cut whenever it's sitting in your lap. You'll find, I have much larger hands than a lot of my students. You'll find that it's gonna be really hard to try to hold it. Or could you lay your little bird's nest down and cut? Yes, you can, right? So I'm gonna maybe lay a little bird's nest down, okay? And I can cut. But would you want to put this against the hard table, Kaya?
No.
No, okay. Could it snap it really easily?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to shut that door. Thank you, darling. I love the expressions on your faces when you hear that background noise. It just gives our video more flavor, right?
Yeah.
More interest. Okay, so I'm gonna smooth that out, because later on, if you don't smooth out where you cut that hole, on the inside of your teapot, when someone's washing it, could they cut their hands? Yeah, from that jagged area. Or do you guys get that? So is it real important to smooth the hole?
Yeah.
Okay, really well with your finger in there. Okay, so I'm gonna go now in with my scoring tool. Can I just, score really well, right? Do you have a lot of texture on this pot? Yes, thank you. Okay, so first off, this is a little dry, so I'm just going to dip it in water a little bit. But I'm going to do some really deep scoring on both connections. So on my spout, where it's going to join into the pot, and on the pot. So for now, I'll start it here. Give it a little bit more water. I'm going to come back and add some more scoring marks there, because it's pretty dry. And now on this is something that students make the mistake. They forget to score so well, and you want to go outside the line too, because you'll want to like smear up, or a little bit outside the line. But you want to make it super duper duper, and that's a technical term, muddy. And get rid of that texture so that you don't have cracks later, or like negative space later where these joined. You want it to kind of all be flush where you're scoring. Can everyone see this? Yeah. Okay, so work on your other parts. It looks good, great. It looks really great. For now, just sit it to the side. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I'll remember to keep this smooth in here. This is really muddy, okay, and really deeply scored, so that texture of the coils, you can't really tell it's there where I've scored anymore, or now. And scored this up really well. I'm gonna go ahead and connect. And when I connect these, what do I have to add again? What do I need to add, folks? Pressure. Under pressure. Okay, so I'm putting some really good pressure on there, and you'll see that some of that slips out again. And I'm gonna get rid of my bird's nest, and then go around with my wet brush. It's important not to forget this step. Ooh, and I noticed something. My pouring point is off, so I'm gonna have to angle this a little bit. Ooh. I have to hydrate the tip of this because you want your pouring point not at an angle. You want it going straight, but we'll figure that out a little later. I'm gonna add more water on my brush and just sponge and clean up any awkward lines. And you'll notice, you know, that you're rehydrating the clay, and that's okay. As long as it was firm enough, it shouldn't lose its shape. Okay, so just going in, and I really like the way this is turning out. I think it's a really nice form so far. I'm gonna put my fingers in and make sure this is smooth. That hole where the spout is still nice and smooth. And I'm gonna put this to the side for right now because I'm very happy with it. And I'm going to, you know what, I'll add, before I do my lid, I will add the handles. Since kind of when you add the handle and the spout, you wanna do those the same day around the same time, back to back. Because is it important that that handle and that spout are straight across from each other? Yeah, would it be very awkward when you go to pour if they're not? Yeah, it'd be very, very awkward. So I'm gonna use my knife first. I don't need half as much of this handle that I made. I just kind of want to, it's always better to do more than less. And I'm gonna move some stuff out of the way so you can see. And I'm gonna cut here and I'll zoom in. And again, you want to use a lubricated knife and soften any extremely leather hard pieces first. And I like this handle because my hand fits in it. Folks, can you see this?
Yes.
So my hand fits in there. I've seen students, they make these little teeny tiny handles and you can't even get a finger in there, okay? And you don't want that, it's not good. You want your whole hand to be able to hold the teapot because when there's weight on that teapot with the liquid, you'll need your whole hand to hold it. So I'm gonna go ahead and discard these for now. That clay will get rehydrated and pugged or wedged. And I'm gonna go ahead and add my handle. Is it okay if I use your bird's nest? Yeah, okay. I'm gonna still use my bird's nest here, or my student's bird's nest. Thank you, Ken. And we're gonna wanna place it about here. Okay, and you know what? I think that sticks out too far. I have a lot of wiggle room there. The more your handle and your spout stick out, the more dangerous it is for them to break later on. So I can cut about a ½ inch off the top and the bottom of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I realized it's better to go a little bit at a time, you know, than to get too extreme. I only need enough for my hand, okay? And I probably have that there. Does everyone see this?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you, darling. And I like that. I think that's good. Actually, I can cut a little bit more off. Okay, so just taper it. And remember, if you're watching this, I know it's gonna be a long video. The day that you put everything together, it usually is, that video is. So you can run it at a quicker speed. And, ooh, now I'm gonna cut these at angles so they'll fit better. And I think I like that one, the upright. And so I have to cut this at a bit of an angle now. So it fits. So you might have almost like a 45-degree angle or like a 30-degree angle when you add the handle on. Yeah, that's better. And you wanna make sure, again, it's directly across from your spout. So how will you know this? Just use a tool and kind of measure and mark. Okay. So now I'm gonna just wet my handle and place it where I think it needs to go, or I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna wet the whole thing so it has some flexibility. Okay, I'm happy with that area. This is the scary part. And I'm gonna go ahead and score it. When you score, you wanna go really, again, very, very, very deep. That'll give it some of that, because my angle's not quite fitting yet, but once you score it up, that gives it kind of the flexibility that you need when you score really deeply. Do you guys see that? Okay. And moment of truth. Oh, it's upside down. Okay. Yeah, I'm liking that. So I'm gonna use that bird's nest. And that's just the term we use for like padding. Okay. And where I kind of marked it with that slip, I'm gonna score that up really well. Okay. It's really rewarding on the day you get to join everything. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember doing that with your skull?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm happy with this fit. This is the scary part, just putting that pressure and avoiding snapping the pot or snapping the handle. I've had a lot of students at this part is where they snap, the handle, and they have to start all over. Because, it's more fragile than any other part of your pot, I think. And I'm putting good pressure. Oh, and I got a snap. If you end up getting, I'm hoping this is just a stretch mark. You can kind of rub it in. You're good, darling. Thank you. And hope it doesn't expand during firing. And a hack to get this to not expand anymore is sometimes if there's a little bit of a crack, you can wrap it in plastic and that dries slower. So at the end, I will end up wrapping that little bit in plastic so that it didn't expand, okay? So I'm really happy. This is right directly across from it. I'm gonna go ahead and move Kennedy's bird's nest. Thank you, Ken. And I'm gonna go back in with my brush. Is it real important to have that brush, folks?
Yes.
Yeah. And clean up all those pesky that slipped out and scoring marks, okay? Again, you can go back in and put some more pressure, but be careful about cracking your handle. That can get scary. I will go, once I have everything together, I can go back in and smooth some more with the brush, okay? So I have my handle on, my spout on, and my foot on. So I'm getting super excited because the pot's almost done. What's my last 3 parts that need to go on? The lid. And we just have to put it together, right? So I have this lid that I made, and it's a little bit wonky on one side. Yeah, that looks good, darling. I'm just gonna add a little bit of clay because it has this dip. I made this just a rosette. I smeared the back and I used my hand to cup to get that, but it has like this little bit of wonkiness on one side. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of water here. I'm gonna roll a little bit of a coil. I have the kiln on my mind right now because I got a load. And I'm just gonna make this more flat. And if you see that line, it just gives it more character, I think. Or I could always smooth it in as well. I'm happy there, okay? And I have my handle, or I'm sorry, my flange, my main part of my lid. And so what do I need to do before I join?
Score and slip.
Score and slip really well. So this is my rougher part. I'm just gonna dip that in water, a little dab, and score again with my teriyaki chicken sticks, or again, you could use the comb. And make sure you use a lot of water. I make the slip directly on the piece. And for me, that's preferable in a studio where I have, 100 plus students a day, rather than having containers of slip and just doing a little scratching. Some artists do that, but would that get messy in a big studio? Yeah, rather than having containers of slip. So I do this instead. I make the slip on the piece. I think when you do that, you're getting deeper scoring marks, you're creating the slip, and it just gives it a better, it glues it, like quote unquote glues it better, gives it a better hold, okay? So everything that I connect, every connection has to be scored and slipped really well. I'm gonna use the sticks to get in here. And I'm almost done. Isn't that exciting? All I gotta do now is make my cups. Dun, dun, dun. You guys forgot about that part? Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that good pressure. I have this flange. Looks like a mushroom almost, huh? And I will clean my flange up more because I didn't know if I mentioned this to you folks, but you have to put your name not just on the bottom of your pot, but on your flange as well. Ceramics 2 students, Chloe, can you tell them why on the flange as well?
Because you fire the vessel and the flange and separate, like they don't go together.
Good. And that's on the second firing, correct? Yeah, because of glazing. The first firing, the bisque firing, they fire together, so no problem. But on the second firing, all the teapots are separated from all the lids, and we don't want to lose your lid or get it mixed up with somebody else's because they could start to look a little alike. So it's real important that you have some good surface space there and have your artist name and your period nice and legible on your flange. Now I just got to add the top, so I'm going to put a little stamp where I want to score and slip that. Oh, this is exciting. And I scored and slipped that. I scored and slipped my little flame knob. But hopefully, yours looks nothing like anybody else's. Hopefully you have something unique and it wouldn't get mixed up anyway, right? I'm starting to get a lot of slip on my brush, so I'm just gonna kind of rub it on my apron and take some of that out. Later on, with my finger and a tool, once this is firmer, I'll clean up some of that slip. But I'm pretty stoked right now because I have, just for contrast, you'll see this beautiful teapot now built and a lid that fits it. Check it out, okay? And I have this little nugget of a butterfly as my little hidden Easter egg in there. I have flowers, I have my rainbow. In the middle of my rainbow is my spout, and I have a foot. Okay, so this is a well-built, functional pot that hopefully I can use for a lifetime. All right, well, thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Hopefully this will help you get your teapot together, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.